Hello, ladies and gentlemen from all over the world. So, Hustlers, a movie that stars Jennifer Lopez, Constance Wu, Lili Reinhart, Cardi B, and a whole bunch of other pretty big name stars. It's a movie that's currently rated at Rotten Tomatoes at I believe about 93% out of about 43 reviews as of like when I'm making this video, which I just checked I think a couple minutes ago. Hopefully I remembered correctly. So anyway, today I want to do a movie review of Hustlers, and it's a movie that I recently just saw. I was very lucky because I saw it at one of the premiere early screenings. So the movie's gonna come out this Friday, September 13th, Friday the 13th. Super awesome and super cool. And I'm a little bit biased when I'm making this review because, believe it or not, I actually worked on the film Hustlers very briefly. I'm not a reoccurring person, but I did, if you work in the film, I work in the film industry, and if you've ever worked in the film industry, they always hire like a lot of like day players that sometimes just drop in and out to help out for 1 or 2 days. So I did briefly work on the set of Hustlers. Now, because I wasn't there when I came in to watch this movie, I didn't know the full plot of the movie. I didn't really know like fully what was going on other than like the surface level stuff, like it's a movie about strippers. Exactly like what you guys are, thinking right now. Here's a clip from behind the scenes. Normally these clips are super confidential, so I'm not allowed to share them, but only because this was actually on a major celebrity's Instagram story. Thank you so much to the legend A-Rod for basically filming this and putting it on his story. I can basically share. This is the bar scene. You'll see it right in the trailer.
Jen, are you done?
No.
Where's your next set?
I'm just getting started.
Hello, everybody. Hey. Hello.
No, we're live.
Where's Jeff Lee?
Biggest story.
Where's Jeff?
So you'll get an idea what went on behind the scenes, to show that I worked on it also. For this review, it's going to be a no spoilers review. I'm not going to spoil anything, so it's just going to be a review that I kind of talk about it, mostly about what I thought about it. Everything I mention is going to be very surface level, so like it's about strippers, the actresses that are basically in it. If you're new here, I normally make videos on personal development, and so this is a little bit new for me to do a film review, but I will talk a little bit about lessons learned, and I think things that you can really take away if you do end up watching the movie. So there is a personal development side to it, about how I think this movie can maybe change how you maybe look at life. If you're new here, subscribe, like, and comment. If you really enjoyed this, just let me know what you think at the end of this video. So for me personally, I really love this movie personally. I don't think it's a perfect movie per se, but I do think I really love this movie. And I think my favorite thing I think about this movie is that it's just a very fun movie to watch. I think that it's a movie that, has a ton of sexual scenes, a ton of like nude related stuff, a ton. You'll definitely going to see like topless women, there's nude scenes, a lot of sexual stuff. I mean, it is about strippers, but my favorite thing I think that I really loved about this movie is that it's a movie where you can definitely have a very fun night. I know when I was watching it, luckily I was in the movie theater, so it's dark. I was trying to get myself carried together. There was a lot of adrenaline rushing, like scenes, that kind of stuff, a lot of very sexual stuff, but it's also a movie that I think has a very deep side to it. I think what I love about this movie is that there's also a very emotional aspect. So I think what I love is that it's not just a movie where they're basically just putting in attractive, hot, female actresses and hoping that, they're able to sell their bodies and get viewers just because of that. Part of it is, in the movie, but there's also a much deeper side to it, and it goes on even beyond that. And what I love about this movie, I think, is that it has a pretty good storyline, in my personal opinion. It has a lot of sensitive stuff that kind of goes on. There are definitely attractive actresses, and I think that's what really adds to the movie, but also the storyline. It's the perfect balance, in my personal opinion, between having something that's super fun, but also something very interesting and very how would you say, like very just intriguing, very eye-opening. And I think that's what I really love about it, just that balance. It's probably one of the more unique films that I've personally seen in a movie theater, but of course I am a little bit biased because I normally watch movies centered around like comedy, superheroes, because that's what's really big these days. Whether or not you're gonna get to see J-Lo, Constance Wu, and the other actresses like naked or anything like that, that part is going to be a spoiler, so I'll leave that private. Watch it to basically find out. I won't reveal that part. But you will find sexual scenes, definitely. I'm pretty sure I even saw a penis at one point when I was watching that movie. If you're looking for a movie that to get yourself really on for the night, I think it's going to personally deliver, especially if you love the actresses. I personally love Lili Reinhart, for example. I think she's one of my favorite actresses. Now, I am a little bit biased because I actually saw Lili Reinhart in real life because I worked on the film before I knew who she even was in media. And so I watched Riverdale after I had actually already basically saw her on set and kind of learned about her. Constance Wu is definitely the main actress in this movie. I personally think that they did, everyone in the cast, I personally did a fantastic job with the acting. I think they played a very great job. I also think that's what's nice about this movie is that especially for Constance Wu and Lili Reinhart, you know, with Constance Wu, you normally think, at least for me personally, you know, you normally think of her as like the super nice, studious, you know, person from, you know, Crazy Rich Asians, you know, Rachel Chu. And in here, she basically goes on the opposite end and plays a whole totally different character, from like a very educated professor to, you know, Rachel Chu, to becoming a total hardcore stripper, you know, but she's, you know, learning to get in the scenes. Even Lili Reinhart, you know, she goes from the much sweeter Riverdale teenager to someone who's now stripping for a living and going out there. I think the biggest lesson that I think if you do end up watching that you can really learn from this movie is that it talks a lot about the background story to many strippers, and it is also based on a real story, a true, you know, based on a true story in real life, at least according to when I saw that movie. And so what I love about it, I think, is that it really kind of humbles you a little bit, because you kind of see, because I think sometimes, you know, when you talk about strippers, I feel sometimes, you know, it's easy to kind of judge someone like, oh, you're a stripper, you're not as worthy, you know, all that kind of stuff. But I think what I love about this movie, I think, is that it kind of shows a much more humble side to the background story to a lot of strippers, and what gets them into this lifestyle, what, you know, causes them to have to walk this way of life. And I think that the first lesson or eye-opening thing is that sometimes, you know, you're gonna find people that kind of do shady things, but it might sometimes be out of necessity or pressure for survival reasons. The other huge thing that I really love about this film is even just the cast, I think, is that I love the diversity, and I think that, you know, that has been something that a lot of people have talked about that we really need to push in Hollywood, you know, because, you know, it's a well-known fact that there's a lot of, you know, like whitewashing, not as much diversity in Hollywood, you know, in the past, and we've definitely made a lot of waves to kind of bring up, and I just love how diverse the cast is. I mean, I definitely relate to a lot of it, of course, because I'm biased, because I'm also Asian, so you have like an Asian actress, and especially because I work in the industry, I'm always supporting other Asian entertainers. But you even have like J-Lo, who's from like the same exact city as me, you know, we're both from New York. You have Lili Reinhart, who's the same exact age range as me, you know, we're both in the 20s. So I think that what I love about it, that's why I say, like, I think it's a movie that, like, if you're very into this kind of genre, I think you're gonna love this movie. But I don't think it's a movie that would cater to every single person, because I think it's a very niche, like, for a very specific demographic. You know, I love the sheer amount of like diversity that you have, like almost every single race represented. There's a very strong sense of like unity, where like all of the actresses are like together, they're in this together, they're kind of out there, you know, stripping for survival reasons. That's what I really love about it. And then again, the historical aspect, because it also dives a little bit deep into like the Wall Street, the financial crisis era. You know, that's something that I think makes it really interesting, which is why I say, like, it's not just a movie, you know, to get yourself on for the night, you know, because of the sexual scenes, but there's also that very emotional aspect to it. The other huge thing I really love about this movie is that it's a movie that's centered around female leads, you know, and even though I'm a male, I think that I love the diversity, not just in racial diversity, but even being able to kind of have more movies that center around females, you know, because I think that there's significantly more movies that center around a male character. So seeing this is a huge, like, breath of fresh air. I think the soundtrack is pretty good, but it's all like popular music, so you kind of have to be into this category. That's kind of why I say, like, I think that if you're someone more conservative and you don't like popular culture, popular music, I don't think you would like this. But if you are maybe someone that loves this stuff, I think that, you know, the music definitely adds to the vibe, you know, to really make it just super a fun night movie to watch, basically. Now, what is something that I didn't really like about this movie? I think something that it's not really something I didn't like, because again, I love the movie, but it is something that I think some people I can see maybe not liking about this movie, is that because it's a very, very mature movie, I know that sometimes anytime you have a movie that's very, very sexual, I think sometimes people criticize it as being a little bit over the top. I think that if you're a little bit more of a conservative individual, I don't think you would like this movie. I think if you're a little bit more conservative, I think if you're someone who's maybe turned away by the much more like dirty stripping like scenes and all that kind of stuff, it's definitely not a family movie. It's definitely a movie that caters to a much more adult crowd, but I think most people should know that going into watching this movie, even just based off of the trailer. But other than that, I really did love this movie, and I think that like is it a must watch? I think it would be a great movie to watch for a lot of people. I don't think it's a must watch, but I think if you are someone that's very, very interested in like stripper movies, if you're trying to have like a very, very like how would you say, like an adrenaline rushing, eye-opening night where you can watch like some pretty attractive female actresses do like stripping and cool stuff, I think it would deliver. But I think it's also very, very eye-opening if you're someone that, you know, wants to kind of learn a little bit about the background story, you know, to strippers, and, you know, see it much more from like a humble side to it, a much more emotional and deep side to it. And I think that for me is my favorite thing about this movie. You know, in this movie you're gonna see them talk about things like you know, being a single mom, the Wall Street crisis, people trying to make money, you know, doing illegal things, all sorts of pretty cool stuff, I think. I mean, it's a very, very fun movie overall. Hope you guys enjoyed this review. It is my first time doing something like this. Let me know what you guys think. If you guys have already seen this movie, you know, maybe just drop down below what you guys think about this movie, but try to minimize the spoilers. And if you guys haven't seen this movie, maybe just let me know like what you guys are expecting from this movie, what you guys are thinking, how you guys are feeling. Are you even gonna watch this movie? And yeah, feel free to just drop down. And until next time, if you've watched it this long, because I know only so many people have the attention span to do this stuff, thank you so much for watching this movie. Thank you so much for watching this review. Like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, thank you again.